Good evening, everyone. This is Zen Honeycutt of Moms Across America, and we are a national coalition of unstoppable moms. And our motto is Empowered Moms, Healthy Kids. And we're on tonight. This is our Moms Connect call. We have several moms on, some that you can see, some that you can't, some that are just going to be chatting with us with words on the side. We have Ann Temple, wave Ann from Wisconsin. And we have Happel from Maryland, right? And you can't see Ellie from Washington, but she's with us. And also Sam from Arizona. And Esther is popping on and off, and she's from Florida. So we've got moms all across the nation that are just checking in, getting a recharge, sharing what's going on with them. This is something we do every Monday night at 5 o'clock Pacific time in California time. And today I want to touch upon a few things that are going on. First of all, if you haven't seen the news coverage of WSB Atlanta, Georgia TV2 channel, I believe that Esther has posted that on our Facebook Live page, or will shortly. It is a great piece, news coverage on is Roundup causing cancer? And they actually address the fact that Monsanto has been caught red-handed ghostwriting the scientific studies, showing safety of Roundup, and colluding with the EPA to cover up the fact that we have known actually that glyphosate, or they have known that glyphosate herbicides are carcinogenic since 1983. So they've been covering that up. Dan Jenkins from Monsanto emailed Jess Rollins from the EPA to cover that up. And so the news is coming out that this is not the safe chemical that it was declared to be. And we are very excited that more information is getting out about that. We are also glad that more and more people are suing Monsanto because they need to be held accountable, and they need to stop doing what they're doing, which is poisoning our food and poisoning the planet. So if you want to sue Monsanto as well, there's two different lawsuits going on. One is with Tim Litzenberg, Litzenberg. I'm not sure of the name of his entire law firm, but it's Tim Litzenberg is the lawyer that's representing, he was in the piece, he's representing 12 people just in Georgia alone. He's representing at least 500 people across the country. And then also Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is representing people in San Francisco. He's suing on behalf of people who have lost loved ones due to cancer. And I have a dear friend that is a part of that lawsuit, and I'm very glad because her child was severely affected with cancer, and he's doing fine now, but it was really difficult for the family. So if you want to be a part of that, please do look up those two gentlemen, and they're connected to lawsuits in Monsanto, and you can find out more information. I don't know if they're accepting new clients or not, but you can at least see what's going on and be a part of it or support it if you can. More news is that we have a report that we published on Friday, or not published, we posted. It's called Disturbing Toxic Test Results in American Children and Food Samples. And this is found on our website, momsacrossamerica.org, under the blog. We'll also probably add it under glyphosate testing, so you can find it there as well. It'll have a home there. And the big news about that is that we tested 36 children, and we expected that the children that were eating organic would have much lower levels, if not none at all, of glyphosate and other toxins. And unfortunately, that wasn't the case. They were lower with some children that we know for sure were eating, almost 100% organic. But because this is just a survey, it's not a scientific study, we couldn't control what the kids were eating. And so if a parent let a child eat some food that wasn't 100% organic, that definitely could impact the results. But what we found was that the children whose parents were trying to feed them as much organic as possible, like 50% or more, they also ate a lot of gluten-free food, vegan food, and vegetarian food. And so when Tony Mitras from Canada published his data about the the Canadian Food Inspection Agency that tested over 7,800 food samples for glyphosate, that the gluten-free food and the food that is traditionally found in vegan and vegetarian food was very high in glyphosate. And to be specific, that is garbanzo beans, or otherwise known as chickpeas. Garbanzo beans / chickpeas, red lentils, different kinds of beans like white beans, black beans, and pinto beans. Black beans were not quite as bad, but white beans and pinto beans. Also, we know that soy can have it's not extremely high, but there are samples that have tested high for glyphosate. And we know, and wheat as well is very high in glyphosate. So these are the foods that are commonly found in vegan and vegetarian foods, like, fake chicken nuggets. They're loaded with wheat, and many are made with garbanzo bean flour. And so what we put 2 and 2 together, and we can see now that the children whose parents are working extra hard and spending more money to feed them gluten-free, vegan, vegetarian food and organic food are not necessarily preventing them from being exposed to glyphosate. In fact, they may be exposing them to more glyphosate if they do something like, for instance, eat gluten-free oatmeal for breakfast, extremely high in glyphosate. If they eat a wheat pita bread with hummus for lunch, both of those, like 6,000 to 12,000 parts per billion of glyphosate. And then if they eat, say, a lentil stew for dinner, red lentils, right? All vegan and vegetarian, but all contain high levels of glyphosate. And even the organic, I don't know if I already mentioned that again, but the organic or garbanzo beans and red lentils, even some of the pinto beans were very high in glyphosate, even if they were organic. So these are foods that you want to avoid in the United States and Canada. Oh, and buckwheat as well. Buckwheat flour. I don't think I highlighted that in the report as much because that's not as commonly eaten. But people who are eating gluten-free may often buy buckwheat flour, and that is also very high in glyphosate. And this is because they spray glyphosate-based herbicides as a drying agent on the crop before harvest. And the residues do not wash off. We eat them. And so we are therefore poisoning our children with, more toxins by trying to eat healthy than not, which is really completely infuriating and outrageous and unacceptable. And it has to stop. So for now, we are really pleading to the farmers of chickpeas and, garbanzo beans, red lentils, all kinds of beans. We are asking you to please stop spraying glyphosate as a drying agent. We need healthy food in America, and we need it to be safe and non-toxic. So if you know any farmers, please share our report with them. If you know any doctors or nurses or health, coaches, teachers in schools, your friends and family, please share this, because since we've shared the report, we have talked with some moms. We get calls a lot because people want to buy our health solutions like Restore, for instance, which actually helps to close the tight junctions of the gut, which can be related to leaky gut and all kinds of inflammation and allergies and all that. Helps to close up the tight junctions of the gut, which can help the body to protect itself from the impact of glyphosate by allowing the good bacteria to grow and to be able to, break down the glyphosate and, all of that. So people often call about this product because they are very concerned and rightly should be about the contamination of glyphosate in so much of our food supply. And they ask questions and they're saying, my kid is eating really healthy. She eats garbanzo beans every day. She eats lentils and I'm like, no, that is right. You have to stop that. Even if it's organic, those two things you have to stop eating in America unless it's imported if you want to avoid glyphosate. So very unfortunate news, but it's good to find out, because once we know better, we can do better. And we now really need to encourage our demand that our farmers stop using this as a drying agent, because we need these sources of food to be safe and healthy. So that's the report. It's on momsacrossamerica.org. The title, I believe, of the blog is Some Healthy Foods Are Poisoning Us. I should change it to Many Healthy Foods Are Poisoning Us, but it's again, garbanzo beans, red lentils, wheat, buckwheat flour. I don't know if that much of the wheat that was organic was contaminated as well. I'll have to look that up. But okay, so Anne just asked, so organic can be sprayed and still called organic. Yeah, very confusing, right? No, organic is not supposed to be sprayed with glyphosate as a drying agent. So something is going on here, and we believe it is faulty, fraudulent organic certification. That's what I think is going on. I don't think that a nearby crop is contaminating the chickpea crop that much. It would be lower levels. If it was drift, there would be lower levels of glyphosate.
Well, what about the water? I mean, it's contaminating the ground.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be the same as conventional crops that are sprayed with glyphosate as a drying agent. It would still be lower levels. There's lower levels in the water than if it's directly sprayed, right? There's going to be lower levels because of dissipating and all of that. So I think what's happening is that they are taking conventional crops and just slapping the organic sticker on them. That's what's happening. I think there's fraudulent, and there's evidence of that. I'm not just making that up, because some shipments from Turkey have been found to be contaminated. We import a lot of organic food. In fact, 80% of the soy that we import to put into organic food products in the United States are imported. 80% is imported. We are not growing enough organic soy in this country. We are feeding everyone else first. We're not feeding America first, organic food. Same thing with corn. So if we're using high amounts of our garbanzo beans and hummus, it would be nice if somebody who's watching this video could look up how much organic garbanzo beans and chickpeas are we importing. I don't know. But if the majority of those are being imported and they're coming from a country such as Turkey, which has been found to have fraudulent organic certification, that could be the reason. But the food samples that were the foods that were sampled were the ones that were made in the U.S. So if we're using garbanzo beans from Turkey to make the food in the U.S. and then the Canadian Food Inspection Agency tested those, we don't know exactly where those garbanzo beans came from unless we put two and two together. We know how much is actually imported. So that's what could be happening. If it's in the rain, it is going to be lower levels than well, it is the rain. We know that glyphosate is in the rain. They've tested and found that, but it would show up as lower levels on the food than direct spraying for sure. So yeah, very unfortunate news, but it's something that could be really good news for some people, especially like the mom that I was saying, her child has all these health issues and she's trying to eat healthy and she's eating garbanzo beans every morning, right? And lentils every night. And she has a bloated stomach. It's like the size of a football in her stomach. She's not pregnant, but she has this huge bloated gut and she has she's had 2 different surgeries where it cost $60,000 each on her colon and her gut. And she's 20 something years old. She was healthy all of her life, except for the past couple years when she did something. I forgot what. She had some kind of medication or some kind of medical treatment. And then all of a sudden, bam, I'm pretty sure antibiotics were involved, right? And she's eating all this. She switched her foods and it's been getting worse, not better. So she'll be definitely making some changes to her food. And she will also have her husband stop spraying Roundup on the patio. She said her husband was using Roundup on the patio and her kids were walking around barefoot on that patio. So that will be stopping. Yeah. So it's important. It's really important, folks, to share this information with your friends and neighbors. You could save a life. I mean, you could definitely save misery and pain and discomfort and, depression and all kinds of things in people. It's really important. What you say and do really does make a difference. And we at Moms Across America are very committed. I mean, this is our passion and our lifetime commitment to rid the world of Roundup, to stop toxic GMO chemical farming altogether, to totally transform the food industry, and to regain health in America. This needs to happen. And I'm very confident that we are making huge strides towards doing this. We just need everybody to support this. We need everybody to take action, and we can do things like if you post an event on our website, doesn't have to be a big deal. I just had a movie night. I created an Evite, right? Takes like 10 minutes, invite a bunch of people. And you post the event on Moms Across America, or it could be a coffee club, or it could be a seed swap at your local park, or just a meetup with other moms at your local park. Create an event, because then people in your local area can find you. They can find somebody and get support and feel they don't feel alone anymore, right? And they can connect with you through our website, and you get their emails and everything. Like it's more secure connection than just Facebook. And so you post the event, and then as long as you have your address in your private profile, you can get things like these flyers, which are all about Roundup, which Ann made, and the alternatives right here. So there's some great alternatives. People are doing this now. There's more than dozens of cities and school districts and counties and homeowners associations that have stopped spraying Roundup. They've completely stopped, and they're using organic alternatives or permaculture or steam or whichever. So there's a lot of good things happening out there, and it's moms just like you and me who just said, I don't want this to happen anymore. Yes, Ann.
I just want to back up a little bit, and you were talking about spraying it on the bricks on the patio, and the kids were running around barefoot. I have had so many people that were absolutely shocked when I was mentioning about their pets. And I've had people who have lost so many pets to cancer. I've had a friend who has dog had tumors all over his legs because he was spraying his gravel driveway. He goes, I'm only using it on the driveway. And I said, and look where your dog is laying in the hot sun.
Yep.
So, and then, I mean, it hits them almost as hard as their own kids. So,
absolutely. I mean, we love our pets so much.
So I just want to mention that has a big impact if you know people with pets.
Yes. So you can post an event. You could post a doggy hangout at a dog park if you want. That could be an event, right? You post your event. You make sure you have your address in your private profile. If you don't know where that is, scroll all the way down to the bottom on the home page, and your name will be on the lower left-hand corner to show that you've logged in. Just click on your name, and that will take you to your private profile. Fill in your address completely so that we can mail you a free box. We have, I think, a few dozen more boxes that we can mail out for free, thanks to NYR Organic for donating for the shipping costs. And the sponsors, all of our sponsors together, have already paid for all of the materials. So we have great flyers to get out to you that support you, in addition to I think we're out of these, but I still have a few, ban glyphosate. And we mail those out to our top 150 most active supporters. So we're really happy about that. We, of course, still have our GMO flyers. And we have community flyers that are not within arm's reach right now, but community flyers that you can give to your homeowners association and your city council members, all of these people about glyphosate. And I just have there we go, the community flyers. That's data sheet about glyphosate and the alternatives that can be used. So we got you covered. And if you want to know what to say when you go to your city council, just go to momsacrossamerica.org, click on action, and scroll down to National Toxin-Free Town Campaign. And we have 3-minute talks there for your city council. Oh yes, we've got our brand new Why Eat Organic flyers. Thank you, Ann, which are fantastic. And the Why Eat Organic flyers cover health, farming and economy, and climate change. So yes, GMO farming is connected to climate change. And speaking of that, I'm going to have, I just want to give you a heads up, we're going to have Matt Powers do an interview with us. He's a permaculture educator, and he's got these great books for permaculture curriculum in schools. So teaching the kids the solution, right? And I'm going to be interviewing him tomorrow, and I'll be posting a video as soon as I can so that you can get permaculture in your schools versus GMO agriculture. Right, toxic agriculture. So we're going to be supporting you as much as we can with having the next generation be smart, savvy, and safe, and have the tools that they can use to grow food safely. So a little bit more news. So keep an eye on our Moms Across America Facebook page. That's where we will be posting that. And make sure you like our Twitter account too, please. We lost a bunch of Twitter followers when we had a spam attack. So please make sure to like our Twitter page so that you can be alerted when we've got events and new things that are happening. So just some news from people that are with us today. I think looks like we lost a couple people, but Anne, you had a Veg Fest, and
Yep.
can you tell us a little bit about what happened? And again, I want to hear from you because you were there on the ground at the Veg Fest. Are they talking about glyphosate being on foods that are commonly eaten by vegetarian and vegans? Is that becoming an issue? Are they talking about it?
No, they were not. And we had 4 speakers that came in and were talking about, that the health issues, and I did kind of break into the talk, and I did explain to people how important it was for them to choose organic, and that I would be more than willing to talk to them later if they had any questions. And I've also talked to the organizers of the group, saying that moving forward, this has to be an issue, because there's a lot of unhealthy plant-based eaters out there because they just don't know. And a lot of them, the problem that I have, and I had this with Dr. Esselstyn from Forks Over Knives, I've gotten to know him, and Dr. John McDougall, who are, they're big people in the plant-based movement, and I've gotten into some discussions with them about how they have this far reach that they need to sit there and start talking about the fact that they need to go organic. And they said, well, sometimes it's almost too much to get them. They just want them to go plant-based because it's a healthier option. I said, but it's not a healthier option if they're not eating organic. Yeah. So I think I'm making a little headway. I did get my organic posters, and I will be sending them to the head health ambassador in Chicago. And I did talk to him when he was here. He was shocked. He did not know about them using glyphosate as a drying agent. And he's vegan, so he asked that I send him some posters. So this could be great for Chicago. So yeah, the Veg Expo, it was a great thing. This was our second year. We had over 2,000 people show up this year, which was pretty big for yeah. And so like I said, I handed out a lot of flyers. I had them on the table when to hand out. So yeah, I will. That's my mission. I'm going to
get it out there. Thank you.
I want to get people to go plant-based because obvious health reasons, environmental reasons, and we have to get the word out any way we can. And I have a big mouth, so it's really easy.
Yeah. Anne is our champion vegan, and she's ever supportive of everybody, just taking that step to have more vegan meals in their during their week, and never critical. I appreciate that about you, Anne, and always very supportive. So we appreciate that so much. And I definitely, through your influence, have been eating more and more vegan meals, and really enjoying that.
I'm very upset about the red lentils. One of my favorite dishes is. I think I sent a bunch of people the recipe out. It's delicious, and I'm kind of heartbroken about that. So
yeah, and I'm heartbroken about hummus and garbanzo bean. I mean, that's my go-to snack a lot of times, and maybe that's why when I tested myself recently, I still have glyphosate in my body.
I was buying them by the case at Costco, organic garbanzo beans.
Yep. So the farmers that grow those foods need to make some quick changes if they don't want to lose a lot of business. I mean, because a lot of people are getting the word out, and we want to protect ourselves. That is the most important thing. And they can stop using it. They don't have to use it as a drying agent. That practice has only been around for 10, 20, maybe 30 years. It's just most recently in the past 10 years. So obviously they were growing it before without it, and they can grow it again. So they just have to make that change. That's all there is to it. So Happel, you participated in DC in the climate change march, and also was there an Earth Day event too that you did the week before? Yes, 2 weekends in a row. You were busy. Yeah, me too. So can you tell us a little bit about it? What it was like for you?
Yeah, the climate march was awesome. It tons of people, thousands of people. We got together, met up with a bunch of moms, carried the banner. Thank you, Anne, and Moms Across America for getting that to me. and we just walked. We were close with Organic Consumers Association and walked with them. We got up just almost right in front of the White House, and everybody sat down. So we did about a 5-minute sit-in, basically, and then carried on. So it was a great event, and it was nice to be there and be a part of that and let people know how important it is not to use toxic chemicals that affect our climate. And then, do you have any questions about that, Zen? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I do. I'm wondering, because when I did my climate march, I handed out the Why Eat Organic flyers too. And some people opened them up and said, well, I disagree with this because there's a consensus that GMOs are safe. And you know how, the climate deniers sound because they're not agreeing with the consensus. This is how you sound to me. You're not agreeing with the consensus. So, basically I sound as crazy as the climate deniers. And so we, of course, had some words, we were respectful, but I'm wondering if you got the same type of feedback there.
No, the only thing I got, it was at the Earth Day event. A guy came up and talked about golden rice and how he felt like that was such a great thing and why people were, collectively saying no to all GMOs when he felt like that was a good option. And
did you have a comeback to him about that?
I didn't. I went and looked it up and I think, please talk about it further.
Sure. So my comeback to that is it would take 27 bowls of rice for a 12-year-old to get his recommended daily allowance of vitamin A, or of the golden rice, or he could eat a sweet potato and 1 serving of spinach.
Right.
So I think the diversity of the diet is much more important. And also the GMO foreign proteins are not declared safe. If you've got some RNAi going on there where there's either a promoter waking genes up, more vitamin A, or there's a silencer, which is, maybe something that rejects vitamin A, anything that would shut down vitamin A. If you've got a promoter or a silencer happening in any type of GMO, we don't know if those promoters and silencers are going to promote rare diseases in our children and wake those genes up or silence any kind of function in our child. We don't know that, and we would never be able to prove that. And the geneticists that some of our moms have talked to have said it's almost like something is waking up the rare diseases in children. There's more and more rare diseases happening, and we don't know why. It's almost as if something is waking them up. Well, hello, we've got promoters in our GMO foods that are waking up. That's their job, is to wake up the information in the food, the code of the DNA and the RNA, to wake up that information, those genes, to make them think, to recognize, greener lettuce or redder tomatoes, or maybe those aren't on the market, but that's an example, right? Or for instance, silence, like the non-browning apple. That's silencing a mechanism in that apple that's supposed to be there. Well, what is it silencing in our children? We don't know. So
it's epigenetics. It's not the genetics as much as epigenetics, which is the outside forces that are waking up these things in us that would normally never be woken up.
Yeah, very important distinction. So people normally blame genetics for the diseases that they get. Epigenetics means the environmental outside, toxins, lack of nutrients, or whatever's happening that is inundating our children's bodies, who are especially vulnerable, right? And then it becomes a problem within, and it can affect within their genes as well. And that problem can be passed down to their children. So when a mother is pregnant with a baby, if it's a daughter, that baby is growing all of the eggs it will ever have. So any intake of toxins is not only affecting the mother, it's affecting her daughter and her grandchildren, because those eggs that will become her grandchildren are in her daughter, right then, growing and being inundated by toxins, which are being exposed to her through food, air, vaccines, water, showers, anything like that. So when we talk about something like glyphosate, which of course we do a lot, that is a chemical that's not only a poison, right? Glyphosate-based herbicides, but it is multi-generational. It can impact future generations. So there needs to be some sort of new, like, generational poison, or I don't know, there needs to be some sort of new word for that, because poison just normally just kills. But this is a poison that affects future generations. It is a, endocrine disrupting poison or something like that, right? It needs to be clarified better. So, yeah, very, very disappointing that some people, of course, in the climate, the climate change acknowledgers also happen to be pro GMO. And I'm glad you didn't see that very much, Happel, but I did several times at our march in Irvine, Orange County, California. There were several people that were pro GMO, and it was challenging. But my husband pointed out that you got to listen to them, right? You really want to listen to people who have the courage to speak up about something. And what he noticed was they weren't aware of the fact that the same people who are saying that that GMOs are safe are the same companies, right? The same companies that are declaring this consensus for GMOs are safe are the very same companies which are poisoning our planet and being a part of causing climate change, right? So if they bring those two together, if they can connect that, right, that they also profit from GMOs, they profit from the chemicals, and they're the ones that are contributing to climate change, maybe we can have, a bridging of causes and the concept here. So thank you, Happel, for being there 2 weekends in a row, Earth Day and the Climate March. And please thank Margot and for representing and bring your banner out. And if you did you get any signups? Did you guys connect with people, or were you marching too fast or anything like that?
The march was difficult to do that, but the Earth Day I did.
You did. Okay, great. So when we get new signups, which is what I did too with my Climate Change March and Earth Day down in San Diego, make sure to follow up within a couple of weeks at the latest and have another event. Doesn't have to be right away, but if you say it's 2 months from now or 3 months, at least have something on the horizon to meet up. It would be great to meet up once a month. I just had a movie night last night. I showed the movie Tomorrow. We were going to show Seed, but people saw the trailer for Tomorrow and got really excited. Tomorrow is all about the solutions for the food supply. Wonderful people around the world. It was a global filming who are doing great things to grow plenty of abundant, healthy food. I highly recommend it. And we just had a movie night and had a bunch of people over, and a permaculturist, and Carol Grave from Food Integrity Now. She's a health coach, and a bunch of parents and lots of really fun people. So I highly encourage everyone to have a movie night. There's a lot of great movies you can show right now. Seed, Tomorrow, OMG, GMO. There's so many great movies that you can, and we have a movie list on our website at momsacrossamerica.org under About. There's a movie page. So, about more information, and you can get that on our website. So also another person who was with us shortly was Sam. She might still be with us, but she might not have her video up. And I just want to share a little bit of her story so that in case this is something that's happening with you, first of all, you don't feel alone. And second of all, that there's a lot of people that are dealing with this. So Sam lives in Arizona, and she moved from one location to another. Excuse me. Not sure which two areas, but in Arizona, she's got 2 small boys, and they were getting very sick every time her homeowners association sprayed for chemicals on their street. And they were spraying on the streets. They were spraying actually right up to the front door. I caught my landscaper doing that one time too, because they want to spray right along the steps to your door so that they don't have to use a weed whacker or pull weeds. So they just want to spray chemicals right around your front doorstep. And she noticed that her children were getting very sick. And being the very smart mother that she is and anthropologist, she knew that there must be an outside, an environmental factor, because obviously the health issues were not genetic, that they did not run in her family. So she tracked everything. She started to keep a log of when her child got rashes, when, health issues, that whether their urine was stinky or a different color or not, all kinds of things. She tracked it, and she also tracked what was going on environmentally outside. Was there spraying? Was there dust? Was there, pollen? Was there, right, rain? Like, what was happening environmentally? And she started to realize that the spraying seemed to trigger the health issues in her children. And so she couldn't get her homeowners association to stop. And so she moved. And now that they have moved to a completely different area in homeowners association where they do not spray in the city, all she has to worry about is her neighbors. And so she's working on that. But obviously her neighbors aren't going to be spraying right in front of her sidewalk, right? And so not, or on her doorstop, they're spraying in their yards. Still concerning because of drift, but definitely safer. And so she's noticed that her children's health issues have definitely improved. So if that's happening to you, really, again, we urge you to get the community flyer that Ann held up earlier, to get, information, to go to your community homeowners association, go to your city council. You can get them to stop. Many, many people have. And to also hand these flyers out to your neighbor. You can put them underneath their doormats. You can't put them in the mailbox. That's illegal. You can put them in the doormat, under the doormat, and you can have a conversation with them too. I like to, if I have seeds, little packets of seeds, because sometimes we get donations of those, I like to give those too. So there's a gift and one of these, but if you don't have seeds, that's fine. Just hand these out. And my neighbor did stop spraying Roundup after I passed these out. So, and my city has as well in the neighborhoods. They haven't stopped in the parks or on the main streets, but they've stopped in the neighborhoods. And also, by the way, I took a picture of a water drain where they sprayed all around a water drain. And I sent it to the city, and they sent me an email back agreeing that that was misuse of Roundup, and they have reprimanded that person, and that will not happen again. So they are acknowledging that this is not as safe as proclaimed to be by saying, yes, this is not how you should be using it. You should not be using this right around the water drains, right? So we're still going to be working on getting it out of the parks and the rest of the city. So we've also had Ellie with us, and she did an Earth Day event as well. And what she did, and this is fabulous, she and two other ladies went to their local health food store, and they had a table the day before Earth Day, because Earth Day was already booked and they had a lot of vendors. And I just love that they didn't give up, right? They didn't say, oh, we can't have a table on Earth Day, so we're not going to do it. They said, well, what about the day before? Awesome. And they were the only ones, right? So they weren't one of 20 different booths bothering people, right? They were one table. So I thought that was brilliant. They were there between 11 and 3. They passed out tons of brochures. They talked to people. They sent us pictures of them smiling and, having a great time, connecting, bonding with their friends. And they left them posters of why eat organic. Where do I have my posters? Oh, anyway, they're over there. We have big 16 by 20 why eat organic posters. And they're leaving them at the health food store to hang up, and they're going to bring them to other health food stores. So that is brilliant. We were thinking doctors' offices, chiropractors, right? But yes, health food stores, get these why eat organic posters out to your health food stores. It just brings them more business and gives people more reason to buy organic, and is just simply wonderful. So thank you, Ellie, and you were with Lori and Nanette in Marlene's health food store. Thank you, Marlene's health food store in Seattle, Washington. That's fantastic that you guys did that for Earth Day. And yeah, really great. I want to acknowledge Daniel Osmond from San Diego. He helped with an Earth Day booth at the largest fair, I think, in maybe the West Coast or at least California. There were 80,000 people that came to the Earth Day fair in San Diego. We had a booth there. It was fantastic. We had 14 different volunteers. I was so happy. We had 7 volunteers at a time. Everybody was talking to people all the time. We were always talking to people. There were so many people who came to our booth. Almost everybody knew about GMOs. Most of the people had heard about glyphosate. We had a mom there with a baby who was volunteering, really an infant, tiny infant. And I just love to see, new volunteers and people getting involved and sharing about this. Just because we're not working for GMO labeling doesn't mean that we don't need to get out there and to share with people about it. In fact, more than ever now that, the EPA is being minimalized, not that they were doing very much for us in the first place, right? But we have a lot less chances now with the EPA actually doing anything to protect us. So we really need to get out there and educate people and hand out these flyers. And it's actually a lot of fun. And so I hope everybody tries that. Do we have anything else anybody wants to add in about any kind of events or news that we're maybe missing?
I can't think of anything right now. I'm going to the Madison Veg Expo in a couple weeks up in Madison, so I will be taking all my information up there and talking to a lot of the people who have booths there as well. So
Great. Yeah, special call out to people who eat vegan and vegetarian food. If there are vegan fests or vegetarian fests out there, we need you there. We need this information there. The vegans and vegetarians have to know that they also have to eat organic. It's just so important. So please let your vegan and vegetarian and gluten-free friends know that it also has to be organic, which is very challenging. We know that. What we are saying is extremely challenging. That's all the more reason to do it. If your food is not toxin-free, it is not healthy, period. So we need to change that. We need to ask the food manufacturers to switch over. There is a certification that they can get done called the glyphosate-free residue, glyphosate-free residue certification. It's by the Detox Project. You can look that up, and you can ask your favorite food companies to switch over to glyphosate-free ingredients and get certified, and we will share the heck out of that. We will be their new best promoter if they want us to, and they don't even have to sponsor us. We'll just let people know that, this particular company has switched over to glyphosate residue free labeling. So, okay, well, I guess we can wrap up. I just want to see what's on the horizon. Oh, I do want to bring it to everybody's attention that the March Against Monsanto is happening on May 20th. That's in just a few weeks, right? Just around the corner. And Mother's Day, of course, is coming up, and we are putting out a series of videos from mothers all around the world. So look on Mothers Across the World, or Moms Across the World is the website, but Mothers Across the World is the Facebook page. We'll be posting them there, and on Moms Across America. And March Against Monsanto is May 20th. And July 4th are the parades happening again. And for a lot of people, you need to be signed up for that parade by the end of May, beginning of June. So just have that on your radar. I know a lot of people may not be interested in doing it again. I know there's been a drop of participation in things like the March Against Monsanto and probably the parades. But I do want to remind everybody that it is a great opportunity to reach a lot of people in person in a patriotic way. And you don't have to feel very patriotic about the United States right now. I know a lot of people don't, but it's a great opportunity to reach people in a family-friendly way, and where you're not scary, you're not shouting, you're not holding up a sign on a street corner and people trying to roll up their window because they don't want to hear you, right? It's a very effective way to reach a lot of people. And you don't just have to march about, or we're not just saying to march about GMOs and glyphosate. We would love for the Health Freedom Choice Group to get in there. We would love for fracking people to get into those parades. We would love for, climate change people get in those parades. These are our towns. These are our people. They're our neighbors. And they need to know this information that we can share with them. It will empower them, change their lives, reverse this health crisis that we're in, and take back the future of America. So I really do encourage everybody to think about being in parades. And if you've been the organizer, ask somebody else. Say, listen, I'll support you, but hey, can you look up this parade? Can you, make sure that we're booked? And can you make sure we have a banner? I'll help you in that. So please, think of which parade you could be in and ask a friend to help with support. So I can see that we have Sam here. Sam, are you able to get on video and talk, or do you want to record that at another time?
I unmuted her. Sam, you're on now.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you get on video, or do you want it to record another time?
Let me try. Hold on. I'm on my phone.
Okay.
Maybe. Looks like I.
Oop, I think there you are. Hi,
Hi.
Okay.
Hi.
Great. So Sam, I briefly explained your situation, but if you want to say a little bit more about it, like how did you start to tie together the fact that they were spraying? First of all, how were they spraying? Was it a truck? Was it a man with a sprayer? How were they spraying? And how did you start to correlate the spraying with your children's health issues?
So they did spray from a truck as well as spot spraying all over with individual people. My husband had lived in that complex for quite some time, and they sprayed when he's at work, so he wouldn't notice that they do the big mass pre-emergent because it's colorless, and they wouldn't post anything about it. And then I just happened to be a stay-at-home mom, so I started paying attention when we started getting really sick all of a sudden. I mean, a ton of symptoms kicked in. And
what kind, for people who are watching you, what kind?
Sometimes it was usually for my son, my older son, it was erratic behavior. Suddenly he would get angry and yelling and having outbursts outside of the normal age range. His urine would start smelling. He'd get constipated almost immediately within 24 hours of them spraying. Sometimes it would be diarrhea, sneezing, respiratory symptoms, depending on which ones they sprayed or when, and food allergies at some point after a lot of exposure. All of a sudden I had over 50 different items that I was reacting to all of a sudden. And I had never had anything like that. I mean, from the past, like I had allergy tests years and years before. I had one allergy to mesquite, and now suddenly I had a boatload of reactive foods.
I'm sorry, can I just say, aren't you guys tired of meeting people at parties or school or whatever, and everybody's talking about their health issues?
Yeah.
Aren't you? Isn't that happening to you? It's like happening to me everywhere. Any kind of party, somebody's got a sister with cancer or a kid with autism, and it's just like everybody's inundated with health issues, right?
Yeah.
And it's all of a sudden for a lot of people, like you're saying, just suddenly.
Yeah. Right. And then once I got to a point where I had insomnia for like 40 days. And when I woke up, I finally fell asleep. And when I woke up after that, something clicked in me, like, okay, this all of a sudden happened when we moved into this area, and there's got to be a pattern here. And I'm an anthropology student, so my little researcher inside me kicked in, and I started documenting. All right, so what different things, at first I documented like different foods we were eating to track anything like that. I documented, on days that there was episodes, I would notice, like, is there a weather condition? Is it only happening when it's raining or windy or whatever? And the pattern that emerged was I also started keeping track of all the times they sprayed our area, and not only our community, but spraying the streets or spraying the freeways, because we weren't too far from the freeways. And initially we were reacting most to when they were doing our area, which they were excessively spraying our community. But then it has a compounding effect. We know that. So when they spray our street, we would react to it. If they sprayed the freeway, we would react to it. And then come to find out, we had farms not too far from us. So it was just being bombarded.
What area of Arizona was this?
I lived in Chandler.
You lived in Chandler, Arizona.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh boy, this is a lot of different homeowners associations are dealing with this, and
it was overwhelming, and we tried to contact our community, the HOA, and they were resistant. Like initially, they wouldn't give me the information they said they would give it to me, and it took like 2 or 3 weeks for them to give me the MSDS sheets, and but they'd never notify me in advance of when they were spraying the area. So They just said that the landscapers come as needed, and the pesticide people came on a monthly basis, and it was typically like, I don't know, sometime in the third week. And then they only do the pre-emergence seasonally when the season changes twice a year, from when it's hot and cold. And again, they didn't have a concrete date for any of that. And I mentioned to them that obviously we're chemically sensitive. I need to have some more concrete information. I have doctor's note that says that something is triggering these episodes, and literally I was stonewalled. They did absolutely nothing. So for my family's safety and to improve our health, we opted to move. Yeah. So we moved out of the city into an area where the city and here, we don't have to worry about spraying. They don't spray in any of the main city areas.
Right.
Well, they're supposed to put up a barrier, and they're supposed to notify you, and they're supposed to keep people away, and so they're not following the label directions. So you could technically either go after the landscaping company.
And I also contacted.
It's illegal. Sorry, one second. I just want to clarify what Ann is saying there. It's perfectly accurate. It's illegal to use glyphosate-based herbicides that way, because on the label it says you must keep people and pets away for 4 hours. Meaning you have to have a barricade. They can't just spray right outside your front door because you can walk out 2 minutes later. They would have to barricade it. And obviously they're not doing that.
And the funny thing is that complex, we only had one point of entry in and out of the home, and they were spraying. And so there wasn't adequate circulation. So once it got in, there's no way, you know what I mean, to get out of the indoor air quality, because everything was being sprayed right at the front of our home. And I have pictures of the day where they did it excessively. They did it entire in front of our house. And, they made it feel like there was nothing I could do. Like they said that they're using it appropriately, and they gave me the MSDS, and that's all they needed to do. So I was basically out of luck.
This is chemical assault, people. This is chemical assault. This is what's happening to this family and to many families across the country. No one knows what the impact is on your kids at that time. Did it affect their IQ? Did it affect their relationships with kids in school? Did they get bullied because they had rashes? Did they miss classes? We don't know what the impact is on your kids or on other people's kids, what this is happening to them. And it's absolutely unacceptable, and it has to stop. And that's why we have to raise awareness. I'm so glad you moved, but the people that still live in that complex, they still need to know, in that complex, maybe they need to be sued. Maybe that's what needs to happen. I mean, this has to stop across the country. And if you make an example out of one company, just like Monsanto tried to make an example out of one farmer and then 400 farmers by suing them for stealing their GMO technology, even though it just drifted. Well, this is intentional spraying. This is not drift. This is not an accident, folks. This is they're intentionally spraying right in your front step, even though you tell them you have chemically sensitive kids, even though you've obviously objected, even though you've asked them to use alternatives, which there are plenty, right? They continue to assault your family with chemicals. That has to stop. Yeah.
And that's what the thing is like, I wanted to go and talk to the other neighbors, but there wasn't a whole lot of opportunity when we were in the thick of it. I was having so many symptoms that I was going to be getting like the lupus or Lyme diagnosis, because they had no idea all of the crazy things that I ended up, all the symptoms I was having. I was having trouble getting out of bed, and I was in survival mode. And
yeah, people sometimes they ask, like, well, did you go to your neighbors? Did you start a petition? Did you do a protest, whatever. Yeah, well, if you're sick in bed, there's not a whole lot you can do. Or if your kid is throwing autism episode fits everywhere, right? There's not a whole lot you can do. You can barely get through the day. So that's the other disadvantage we have, is that we have to prove that it's unsafe. We have to prove that our children are being harmed. Meanwhile, they don't have to stop. There's no precautionary principle here. There's no like, wait a second, somebody thinks they're being affected by this. Let's stop doing this for a little while till we figure out what's causing this. No, there's no precautionary measures taken at all. Which is not how a mother, by the way, would run things if they were in charge. A mother would say, wait a second, that looks like that might be hurting that kid. Maybe not even their own kid, somebody else's kid. We're going to stop using that right now and look into this further, right? Yeah. Yes, Ann.
Well, what Sam did was fantastic. So I'd like to get it out there to anybody else who happens to be listening to this to start keeping a log.
Absolutely.
So,
That's what made the hugest difference is I just started tracking everything. I mean, like every symptom, any new symptom, which people in the house got the symptom, when it started, and then anything that I noticed that, I started tracking everything environmentally. But you don't even have to do that. Just see if there's a pattern, document. If you notice that the gravel or your like yard is blue or green, which is typically the coloring that they add in there, see if anything it changes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you've noticed anything different.
And if it seems like a pain in the butt to you to do an Excel spreadsheet on a computer, which is the best, or a notebook, then just grab your calendar. Your calendar can be evidence report and write on it, sick, right? Write the symptoms or write, when they sprayed, circle the date, whatever, but definitely start writing it down. If your child has repeated rashes, stinky urine, behavioral changes, which is exactly what happened to my son, right? When we found 8 times the higher level of glyphosate in his urine than was found anywhere in Europe. And with us, it was more of an eating thing at that time. He was eating food that was sprayed with glyphosate as a drying agent. So I'm curious, did you look into that at all? Did you try to go organic and avoid glyphosate
We
spray?
did. We were already eating a majority organic at that point, but how I started recovering myself is I went completely vegan and we went completely organic. And then I just started healing at an accelerated rate. And I felt like nothing was working up until that point.
Right.
And also trying to limit our exposure. Like I didn't know the days that they would come, but if I noticed the landscapers there, I try to be outside of my home at least during the times that they sprayed.
Okay.
So that helped a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I thank you for sharing your story. This is one that's happening all across the country, and we are very glad that you got away from it.
Thank you.
But we do urge everybody who may be experiencing anything like this to take your example and to log it and keep track of it. And if you can, videotape it. If you can, take pictures, right, of the spraying. And definitely ask the people responsible for what are you spraying. Get a printed written copy of what is being sprayed and really document all of this. And of course, protect your family and your children as much as possible. We also recommend, by the way, if this has happened, to do a detox. And there's lots of different ways you can do that. We do sell a health solution, which is a dropper of medicinal, herbs, medicinal mushrooms and herbs and all kinds of wildcrafted things. So we do encourage a detox and to put reverse osmosis filter on your water. So, just take steps to, like you're doing, eat organic and vegan and healthy and all of that. So thank you for sharing your story.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, we're gonna cut off now, but we appreciate. Be in touch. We're gonna get you some flyers, right? Post your event on Moms Across America, and we'll get you some flyers. And anybody who wants to get this stopped out of their town, you can do it. Okay, go to momsacrossamerica.org. Thank you, everybody, for your support. We're gonna sign out now until next Monday at 5 p.m. Moms Connect. We really appreciate everybody watching this and sharing this information. Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.